Tonight, honoring 99-year-old Enoch elder, Qapik Attagutsiak.
And the story came from my mom, because she witnessed it herself.
There was my moccasins that were given to me as a gift from some friends from my childhood.
Metis Regalia goes missing in Saskatoon.
We feed 100 kids a day through the CEDAR program. That's part of our kitchen too right now.
And the Perfect Place Cafe is helping students in Winnipeg's North End, one burger at a time. Good evening, welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. After a 6-week break, Parliament resumed today. The federal government is pushing the new NAFTA agreement, and the NDP asked about an anniversary involving the Human Rights Tribunal. As APTN's Todd Lamoran reports, it's been 4 years since the tribunal ruled First Nations kids in care were discriminated against.
People who wanted to come here
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh took the Prime Minister to task over today's anniversary.
4 years ago, First Nations kids won a historic victory in the Human Rights Tribunal. The tribunal found that the government discriminated First Nations kids and denied basic health care services.
Last year, the tribunal also ordered the government to pay compensation, $40,000 to each child and affected family caregivers. The deadline to work out how the compensation was to be paid was this Wednesday. However, it's been moved to February 21st, something NDP MP Charlie Angus criticized.
I'm really sorry that the government has been given any kind of extension, because the pattern with this government has been absolute denial. They have refused to meet. Over a year ago, they told the Human Rights Tribunal they were not going to sit down and negotiate a solution. So when the Prime Minister stands up and his ministers stand up and say, well, we're trying to work for the good of the children, they're lying.
Est-ce que les libéraux vont arrêter de poursuivre les enfants?
In French, Singh also asked Trudeau why the government is still litigating First Nations children. Separate from the tribunal, the government is fighting the certification of a class action suit over child welfare discrimination, despite the fact that last fall, Indigenous Services Minister Mark Miller and Justice Minister David Lametti backed certification. But Trudeau didn't really answer Singh's question.
We have ensured that we're respecting Jordan's principle. Under the last years of the previous government, 0 cases were approved under Jordan's principle, and since then, hundreds of thousands of approvals under Jordan's principle have made a real difference in the lives of Indigenous children across this country.
The reality is you can't trust the Trudeau government on anything they say about making it right for First Nation kids. They have fought every step of the way. The pattern is clear. They have denied rights. They have watched children die.
Regarding the tribunal's compensation order, Indigenous Services Minister Mark Miller's office said the government needs more time. Todd Lamoran, APTN National News, Ottawa.
A 99-year-old Inuk elder has been honored by Parks Canada as a hometown hero. It's for her contributions to helping the Allies win World War II. Jamie Pashagumscum was at the ceremony in Gatineau, Quebec.
Qapik Attagutsiak spoke about how important collaboration is to survival. She said during World War II, the adults of her camp were asked to collect animal bones. The bones were then shipped south to be used for making munitions, glue, and fertilizer. Parks Canada says tons and tons of bones were gathered by Nunavut Inuit to help with the war effort. Her untold story is finally being told. Qapik Attagutsiak is Qapik's daughter.
When they started hearing about the war, it was the whole, not just the community that was involved in picking the bones, it was all the communities that were surrounding the area that they were living in. So it was, they help each other. So it's very, very important that this is the story of Inuit, and the story came from my mom, because she witnessed it herself. So it's very important for the history of Inuit and also for the history of Canada too.
Ray Coutu of Parks Canada said they were privileged to help Qapik tell her story.
But in this case, Indigenous stories are immensely important because they've been left in the shadows for so long. In this case of his elder Qapik Attagutsiak, we want wanted to provide an opportunity for her to tell her own story in her own words, on her own terms.
Vice Admiral Art MacDonald is in charge of Canada's Navy. He says the bones the Inuit collected were essential to the war effort at home, and it is an important part of Canadian history.
Today we had a chance to celebrate someone who's just absolutely impressive and has been for almost 100 years, an incredible example for all Canadians, but celebrated uniquely until today in the Nunavut community amongst Inuit. But today the story is going to begin spreading to all Canadians.
Hometown Heroes was launched in 2015 by Parks Canada. It's a community-based initiative that honors men and women who contributed during the World Wars. So far, over 140 people from across the country have been recognized. Jamie Pashagumskum, APTN National News, Gatineau.
A Brandon, Manitoba couple battling a Metis child welfare agency for taking their newborn son hoped a week-long trial set to begin today would bring an end to their months-long nightmare. While media rarely cover child protection trials, APTN wanted to take a look inside how this system works behind the closed door of a courtroom. Here's Melissa Ridgen.
I'm outside the courthouse in Brandon, Manitoba, where a family had hoped that they would have answers to why their infant son was taken from them 9 months ago. The boy has been in foster care since then. They say that they have never been given a reason why. The CFS workers came in, apprehended the child from hospital. They suspect it's on the grounds that the mother involved in this case, 6 years ago, she was in an abusive relationship with a man who was convicted of beating her. And he also, it's believed, caused some sort of injury to the child. She was charged with failing to provide the necessities of life to that girl, failing to protect her from a potential abuser. She pleaded guilty to that, and she believes that that has now tarnished her with any time she has a child, they can swoop in and take that child. Even though she has this infant with a new, supportive, loving partner, they are together raising his 2 children from a previous relationship without any problems. This was all supposed to be hashed out today and for over the next 4 days, but the father in this case has now decided that he is going to seek a legal aid lawyer to represent him. So the matter has been put over till March 6th when we will resume. We will come back and see how it all unfolds then. I'm Melissa Ridgen in Brandon, Manitoba.
In Quebec, cannabis dispensaries are open for business in Listigouche First Nation after 2 weeks of controversy that started with raids, seizures, and arrests. Now Listigouche is moving forward with cannabis self-governance and the healing of old wounds. Angel Moore has that story.
Smoke Shop 69 is legally selling cannabis. It has a temporary license for 12 weeks, issued by the Listigouche government, until regulations can be implemented. Alexander Morrison owns Smoke Shop 69.
I want to follow the rules. I want to give back. I don't mind paying a certain percentage back to the community, you know. I have no problem doing that whatsoever. And we do need regulations to, you know, to safeguard the products for the general public. I agree with that, but, I mean, they weren't ready, so.
2 weeks ago, stores were raided and people were arrested. Morrison was charged for possession and trafficking. There was outrage in the community that the SQ police were there, assisting the Listigouche police.
We have a bad history with the Quebec police, and I think that the anger of the people that they, you know, whether I don't agree with people calling names and threats or anything like that, but the anger itself, I think it was justified.
An old wound opened a traumatic history, the salmon raids of 1981. The Quebec Provincial Police came into the community to stop the Mi'kmaq from salmon fishing on the Restigouche River. Donald Barnaby says since that day he will never trust the police.
They started chasing us for no reason at all, and I was put to the ground. Well, they stood like this with their batons and like baseball bats and told me to stop. So I put the brakes on and said, "Hold it, this is it."
Since then, the Listigouche government managed their own salmon fishery, and now they are asserting their own cannabis law. Councillor Chad Gideon says that's part of self-governance.
Accountability and transparency. That's the main thing. We don't want like a free-for-all, you know, because, like I said, Chief and Council are there to create governance and laws and policies, because creating laws is how we exercise our sovereign right as a nation.
Currently, 10 temporary licenses have been issued. A cannabis control office is being developed to regulate the licenses and dispensaries. But Morrison says that until that happens, he's still not sure what the rules are.
It's very confusing as to which law we have to follow, or all the laws. I mean, if that's the case, why did we even make our own bylaw if we have to follow all the other laws? I don't know. It's confusing.
Morrison is not sure he will be in business for long. He has to appear in court for his possession charges at the end of March. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Listugush First Nation.
And we'd like to hear what you have to say about this or any other story. Here's how to continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. Find us online at aptnnews.ca and on youtube.com/aptnnews. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest Indigenous news. Well, there's another case of stolen regalia. That story and more still to come. Here's a look at Tuesday's weather forecast starting on the East Coast. -1 with snow for St. John's, 4 below in Halifax, 15 below with snow for Nain, -14 in the Grand River, 5 below under sunny skies for Montreal, sunny, and -11 for Chibougamau, 0 with snow for Toronto, London, Sarnia, and Windsor, -4 with flurries for Thunder Bay, snow and -7 for Sioux Lookout, snow and 10 below for Churchill, -8 in Thompson, Norway House, and God's Lake, 8 below for Winnipeg and Gimli, -6 in Brandon with snow, -3 for Saskatoon, -1 and snow in Regina, -3 for Stony Rapids and Meadow Lake. Welcome back. In Saskatoon, a young Metis jigger was horrified when she discovered her car had been broken into, and gone were some of her regalia and a precious item that belonged to her late father. APTN's Priscilla Wolf has that story.
Kate Boyer is new to Saskatoon and is a first-time education student from Batoche. She helps make ends meet by jigging at local events. Saturday night, after dancing at a fundraiser, she stayed at a downtown hotel with her boyfriend, and they parked his car outside. Sunday morning, they discovered the car was broken into. Both windows were smashed, and her personal items were missing.
There was my moccasins that were given to me as a gift from some friends from my childhood, so that's sort of important to me because they were fully beaded, which is those are quite unique. And also 2 sashes. One of them was my own and one of them was my deceased father's.
The sentimental sash that belonged to her deceased father is irreplaceable.
That sash, it was more than just a sash. It really connected me with him in that way because it was our shared culture.
Her father's sash is distinctive and is longer and wider.
The details that make them unique are so intricate, but one of them was just your red sort of traditional Métis sash. That was mine. I mean, it was just sort of the basic one, but the other one was a little bit unique because it was blue and had like some white pattern in it and some just different colors, but it was more like a royal blue, which is a little bit more unusual.
Her moccasins are also gone.
They're yellow beaded moccasins. They're completely beaded with no fur cuff on them. They're just leather with a tie in the front, and they have some black and red detailing, kind of geometric designs on the tops of them.
Boyer wants the items returned and has a message for the person or people who may have taken them.
Probably you're not having the best life as it is right now, and you're probably struggling too, and I understand that, and I just would, I don't know if you knew exactly what you took, and I would appreciate it if you returned it or turned it into somewhere, even anonymously, to be able for me to get it back, because it has such a large part of my life and my job. But yeah, I would appreciate its return.
Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
January 26th is a day of celebration for many Australians, but for Indigenous people, it's a day filled with mixed feelings. There's a tradition of protest that dates back to the day of mourning in 1938, when Aboriginal leaders gathered in Sydney to raise awareness about the injustices faced by their people. Our partners at National Indigenous Television in Australia had reporters out across the country. Here's some of how the National Day unfolded.
Hello, I'm Douglas Smith reporting to you from Brisbane on Yuggera country, where thousands have turned out for the annual Invasion Day March, which kicked off at around 10 a.m. this morning in Queen's Park in the city. The crowd right behind me right now are on their way to Musgrave Park, coming across the bridge which connects the CBD and South Brisbane. Leading the march today is a group of Indigenous riders from a bikie club.
Yama, I'm Kira Jenkins here in Nipaluna, Hobart. Today, thousands of people rallied as part of the Invasion Day March in the city. They marched through the streets of the city, calling for a change. On arrival at Parliament House, the whole procession danced together, followed by the more sombre minute of silence. A very special welcome to country from young Taina Hogan in Palawakani.
Mina Taina Hogan, Mina Palawa Bunjalang Rogeri Luwana. Waranta Takamuna Miladina Nipaluna.
The speeches were full of emotion and passion. Themes of environment, culture and language revitalisation were strong.
We've got some traditional Tasmanian Aboriginal dancers here performing a cleansing ceremony to get rid of all the bad spirits that are brought on by the celebrations of Invasion Day, and also to be able to welcome in all our Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal friends. There's well over 5,000 of them who have turned up today to support the Aboriginal people, not just in Tasmania, but right across the country, and show this country that we need to change the date of these Invasion Day celebrations.
It was once a bar and hotel with a notorious history. Now they're cooking up something a little different in Winnipeg's North End. More on that after the break. Here's the rest of Tuesday's weather forecast, picking back up in a sunny northern Alberta. -1 for Fort McMurray, 8 below in Grand Prairie. +3 for Medicine Hat, 6 above in Lethbridge. +9 and showers for Victoria, Vancouver, and Tofino. 13 below for Fort Nelson, +5 with snow in Prince George. -28 for Dawson and Old Crow, snow and 12 below for Whitehorse. -16 in Yellowknife, 20 below for Fort Simpson. 24 below in Sax Harbor and Pawlatuck, 30 below with snow for Fort McPherson. -19 and flurries for Repulse Bay, 15 below with snow for Chesterfield. -30 in Resolute, 33 below in Arctic Bay. Welcome back. A Cree retelling of Shakespeare's Macbeth is now on the road in Alberta. The all-Indigenous cast are performing in 4 First Nations with 6 shows in Treaty 6 territory. APTN's Chris Stewart was there for their final rehearsal.
It's the final rehearsal for Powaggan Macbeth at the Banff Centre. Renalta Arlug's play is about a retelling of Macbeth, but from an Indigenous perspective. Set in the 1870s, the story is about war and lust for power. A powerful evil spirit named Witiku is awakened. The play has been running for a few years, but now Renalta's vision of touring Indigenous communities is coming true. She says they are bringing the full scale of the show.
When you're touring to the communities, you don't ever want anyone to feel like they're not seeing something at its full best. So we created a set and lighting and show that is self-contained to bring the best in every community. So we can go into the community centers, we can go into the school gyms, we can go into the cultural centers. No matter what, we'll always be able to give you that quality work.
Mitchell Saddleback plays different parts. His community of Muscatchees is a first stop. He's excited to bring this to his friends and family.
We're going back to my reservation to show this play, and I'm very excited because this play, I'm bringing art back home. I'm speaking a language, and there's a lot of really good lessons in this play. So bringing this back home and being able to show my cousins and my brother and my family, my nieces, like all these people that have always wanted to see me perform, and now I'm just like, whoa, I'm coming to you.
Powaggan Macbeth will be visiting Saddle Lake, Kiiwin, and Frog Lake. Allison Pratt is looking forward to performing in Treaty 6 communities.
It's phenomenal that we're traveling to Indigenous communities. It's
so important to me. This story takes place on Treaty 6 territory, so to tour to Indigenous communities in that territory is really just honoring this story and honoring communities, hopefully inspiring people, youth, elders alike, and really bringing professional theater to people that might not otherwise have a chance to see it.
Renalta says the final stop in Frog Lake First Nation is special. The youth there helped inspire her to write the play. The production will travel to Edmonton February 6 and 7. Then they will visit North Battleford in Saskatchewan. They are hoping to add a few more Alberta reservations before traveling to the Northwest Territories to perform in March and April. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Banff, Alberta.
Merchants Corner in North End Winnipeg has been a troubled area for years, but a recent renovation and a new cafe that helps students is getting people excited. Daryl Stranger has more.
And with that cut, the Perfect Place Catering Cafe is officially open. The cafe started serving customers in November, but there was no official grand opening. Erica Contois and Destiny Michelle are the co-owners of Perfect Place. They were youth care workers for many years and did support work at CEDA, a community education development association for youth grades 9 to 12. Cooking and helping youth is a passion of theirs, so they decided to open a catering cafe where they could do both.
Like, that's what we've done for years, is the youth is our, so to help bring back to the community by feeding the youth. Like, we feed 100 kids a day through the CEDA program. That's part of our kitchen too right now.
They walk away feeling good, that they feel good in their bellies, feel good in spirit. Like, I mean, we hope to create a friendly atmosphere where it's, you know, where they feel at home.
$1 from every burger sold at the grand opening will go towards sponsoring a student from the CEDA program, along with half of all tips which have been donated since the cafe opened. Jordan Bighorn hopes the cafe opening up here can change the opinions about Winnipeg's North End.
Well, this building, the Merchants Corner, of course, had some fanfare when it opened, but I think it has yet to really show its true transformation from what it was, as I understand, years ago. The darkness that came out of this place, and now the light that's coming out.
Riley Castell is a former student of CEDA who knows firsthand the impact the organization can have on a student's life.
If I made it as far as I am now today, it would be a lot greater of a struggle, that's for sure. CEDA made that an easier trip and a lot more pleasant. Just the financial and the educational supports that they offered. They had one-on-one tutors and the bursaries for attending school regularly in the program as well.
Destiny and Erica hope the Perfect Place will be the landmark that will help revitalize the North End community and bring a new era of positivity and growth. Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
And we're going to have to ask Daryl why he brought 0 Bannock burgers back to the station. That's your APTN National News for this Monday. You can find much more over on our website, aptnnews.ca. And stay up to date with the latest by downloading the APTN News app. Dennis Ward, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here tomorrow.